Hello everybody, my name is Yasudesio. Today we will be learning about object-oriented programming, and to practice those skills we will be building a small basic beginner backend project. Let's begin. Prior to starting, let's first talk about object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming was invented during the early days of code, where developers realized that they had lots of code that they were constantly rewriting. When you write object-oriented code, you treat you treat a certain thing as an object, which has different attributes. Alright, so here's a small diagram as to how objects work. So first you have your constructor. In your constructor, you will have your variables. Let's suppose if I'm a cake factory. Now, every cake has certain similar attributes. For example, every cake has flour, eggs, sugar added, and flavor like chocolate or vanilla. However, the quantity of these things are unknown. That's why, so if we were to make an object regarding cakes, we would have all of these variables set in the constructor. However, for every object made, the constructor values would be different. Now that we have these given values, we can do something with them. So for an example, we might want to build the cake, or we might want to put it up on their company website. Alright, now we're going to be building a simple project. Let's suppose if I'm a car company. Now, as a car company, or a car retail company, I want to build an object-oriented program that can help with adding car data to databases as well as deleting it from databases. So, first I'm going to make my constructor. A constructor will have three attributes: the name of the car, the size of the car, and the price of the car. Of course, if this was a real life situation, it would be a bit more complicated than this. But for the sake of this video, let's continue. Alright, now let's build. So make sure that your computer has Python installed. Alright, and open up a file called main.py. Or app.py, frankly doesn't matter. Okay, so first what we're going to do is create a class called cars. You can name the class whatever you want, but it's a lot cleaner when it's direct and short. Okay, now we're going to create our constructor class. So every class doesn't need a constructor class, but it is required for proper object-oriented programming. Now, the next thing we're going to get is the car name. So that's going to be specified by the user, the car size, and the car price. Now, let's suppose if I have tens of thousands of objects, it's possible that these objects could overlap and collide with each other and just crash the entire program. So what we need is a way to interact these variables with our class altogether. So what we are going to do is create a connector, and we're going to call it self. By having the word self inside of our code, we can now initialize values within just the class. And then, if there was another class to be made, those values would be different. And these values can stay parallel to each other and never collide. So, self.carName. So what I'm doing is that I'm making a variable within this class, and it's going to be called self.carName, so that it's connected directly only to this class, not to be used outside of it. And it's just going to be equal to the car's name. Now let's repeat this for car size. Self.car price is equal to car price. Okay, right now this code may seem a bit of a jargon to you. However, I'm going to help you with that. So what we do is that for every car we have, we're going to set a car object, and we're going to specify these three values. All right, now let's do that in a more, so let's suppose if I have a new car, like let's see what we've done so far. All right, so simply what we're going to do is we're going to make cars, and then we're just going to name it. So Tesla, how much does the Tesla weigh? Probably 100 kilos, and its prices are, I believe, 10,000. Yeah. Now let's just run this. So as you can see, nothing happened. That's because we haven't printed anything. So let's try and print this new car. All right. So as you can see, there's a bunch of jargon, but let me help you translate some of this. Basically, it's stored in memory, and this is the address for the memory. Now, let's suppose if we want to explore what's written in here. So let's try and view the car name. All right, and now what it does is that it goes to the new cars, which calls upon the car's object. Then from the car's object, it calls upon the car name, and then it just prints it out. So if I were to just, yeah, and see, there's Tesla right there. Now, objects can coexist with one another even after the next line. So if I were to go new car underscore one, make another cars. So I'll just call this Toyota, and 100 kilos, and it's $100. All right. One dot car name, and then boom, all that is there. Okay, now while all of this was nice and dandy, let's actually get to some real object-oriented code. So, as remembered in the plan, what we are going to do is we're going to make a button adding the car to the database and deleting the car from the database. So let's just make our add car. And also, we're not going to actually be putting it into a SQL database because this is a beginner tutorial. Instead, I'm just going to pretend like it's happened. Then I'm just going to return. So I'm just going to return here successfully added to the car, successfully added to the database, plus self.car name. All right. And at the price of, and sure. So I'm just going to have to convert the car price to a string, otherwise it's not going to work. So let's just actually just run this object right now. Okay. Tesla, 1,000. Okay. Okay. So what I've done right now is that I've initialized an object. All right. So this object currently is just sitting around doing nothing. Now, I have decided that I want to add the car to, like add it to the database. In fact, let's actually change that to add db. Okay. Now let's just print this out. Yeah, so successfully added to the database, Tesla, at the price of 100K. Let me actually just add a space. So yeah, this is a lot. Whoopsies. Yeah, so this is a lot cleaner now. Okay, so now we can also do the exact same for delete car. Delete car, and it's going to inherit self. I'm not sure if I already went through the whole self thing again, but the thing is that when I've initialized this from the cars class, right? So, and it wants to access any constructor variables, I just call upon self, because self has all these values. And then I'll just go self.car name or self.car price. Okay, so I'll just return deleted from database. So if I were to just go delete car. So yeah, so as you can see, using objects in your programming, it makes it a lot easier and a lot more fun to be able to do your. It makes it a lot more easier to implement these things. If this was a non-object oriented programming language, or if this was or if this just in general, if you just didn't use object orientation, you would have to write a lot more code, and it would be a lot more unorganized. For an example, let's suppose if I just make a small mistake here, and let's see. Let's just suppose if I write delete like that. So delete doesn't actually exist right now. Let's run this and see what we get. So yeah, it says that cars has no attribute to delete. So this is a very straightforward solution, because now we just realized that we just don't have a class endpoint called delete. Okay, one more thing before we wrap up for today is the concept of adding extra variables. So as you can notice, right now, we only have 3 fixed variables. Let's suppose if in the future we want to add another variable. Well, let's actually try that. So let's reprice our car. So def reprice self, and what we can do is we can still get more user input. So we can write new price. All right, and what we will do is we'll first hold the old price in a variable, self.car price. And then what we can just do is go self.car price and just rewrite it as the new price. New price. All right, and now we can just simply return repriced the car from self.car name, car name from self.car name or self.car price. Sorry. All right, to self.car price. Okay, and for the sake, okay, let me just reprice this. So if I were to make a reprice and I want to reprice this to $5,000, let's suppose there's a sale, and I'm just going to print out the new car dot car price, and I'm going to just run this. Yeah. So wait, let me actually just clear this so that you can see it better. Okay. So it says reprice car from 100 grand to 5,000, and then I just printed it out back again. Okay. So this is the end of my tutorial. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Leave a comment in the video if there were any issues or any questions you might want to ask me. All right.